Ladies and gentlemen, hello again, Big Mike, once again back for some more action. Today we're going to be doing a flight with the trusty old Bobby, Boeing 737-300 from IXEG in X-Plane 11 from Frankfurt to Zurich. So, yeah, we're going to be doing this one on online on IVAO. And I did all the flight planning, fuel calculations and everything, so now I think I decided to do things slightly different. All my previous videos, it was just basically everything was already set up and all I had to do was just key in the flight plan and off we go. This time around I decided to do a more, how would you say that? Basically, think of it as, okay, we just boarded the aircraft and we're just basically setting everything up as if we just took over the aircraft from the last crew and just going through our checks. So without further ado, let's just hop into the cockpit. Here we go. Alright. So, we're here in the cockpit. Just went through all the through all the logbooks and all the aircraft records and so on, just made sure everything is okay, and now we're just gonna basically just go through our checks. This by no means is this by no means is gonna be like the realistic way of doing it. It's just basically the how would I call it, the quick and dirty shortcut methods which I use for setting up an aircraft in flight simulation. Because as you may know, I did my multi-crew coordination course in a Boeing 737 simulator, so there I had to learn how to set up the aircraft properly and so on, but that is so many years ago I don't remember everything anymore, and frankly I don't really feel like reading through all the manuals again to remind myself of it, and it works well enough for my purposes here, so here's just the quick and dirty version of what I do. So you guys will probably find a lot of things that I'm not doing correctly or that I may be doing wrong, but just bear with me. So check the oxygen valves, the oxygen mask. Also speaking about oxygen valves, behind the pilot seat, that's where the oxygen valves are located, to open up the oxygen tanks for the oxygen masks, but they're not simulated in this aircraft, so whatever. Okay, just testing all sorts of things. Okay, a light test. And again, I am not a rated 737 pilot, so please don't be too harsh with me. Okay, no, we don't need that. But reset the fuel. Okay, that goes on. Yep, all the lights are on. That was just the fire test which I did. And now we're doing the fire test for the cargo compartment. Yep, all the bells and whistles working fine. So come down here. All looks in order. And now we go up to the overhead panel. Whoops. Come on, cycle through. So let's start from top down. So the IRSs are let's do this again. The IRSs are already aligned, so that is fine. Test that. Then stall warning test. And overspeed test. Okay. Crew oxygen over 1500 psi. That's good. That's closed. Excellent. Whoops, wrong button. And now we just basically go from top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, all the way to the right. So, and just make sure all the switches and guards are in place the way they should be. So, All this is good. Normal, normal, normal. The fuel pumps are off. Okay, yep, we're connected to the ground power currently. So battery on, galley power on, standby power, auto. Yep. So far so good. Oxygen, emergency exit lights are armed. Seat belts will go on. This we can turn on. These we only turn on after engine start. Okay, these can stay the way they are. These are also fine. We can do the CVR test. And I like to keep that on passenger cabin. I'd like to see what the temperature is in the passenger cabin, not what's in the supply ducts. And I like to put these in the middle. Okay. So auto off. That's correct. Okay. The pressurization panel, we will set that up in a couple of minutes. So the position light, put them on. And we are an even flight number, so put the ignition to the right. Is that off? Yeah. Okay. So far, so good. So let's I always get these buttons muddled up. Hang on a minute. There we go. So let's just program the FMC. So let me just whip up my OFP. Okay, so 737-300, IREX cycle 1708, valid till 16th of August, engine rating 20K. That's all in order. Okay, if the IRSs are aligned, strictly speaking, you don't need to do this step, but I just still like to do it for good measure because it takes over that value. And we are going to LSZH. And our flight number is Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango. Okay, and our routing is as follows. So we go to Aneki. And then from there it's the Yankee 163. And then from there it's to Neklo. Then the Yankee 171. On to Incam. And then from there it's the Tango 725. From there on to Lamgo. Tango 721. Then to Relax, from which point we will start our approach. Okay. Activate. And now departure. We'll be departing out of runway 18. I think that's got to be my favorite runway in Frankfurt, because I always somehow end up departing from that runway. Aniki 8 Lima. Execute. Okay, and now this is a bit interesting. So we want to land on ILS 14. Ah, there we go. Relax. There's the transition. Because there's also a star going from Relax, but that takes you kind of to this to the east, southeast of the airport, and then I would have to loop back to land on runway 14. It doesn't make much sense, but there's a transition from Relax onward, so that's what we're going to go for. And hopefully that's what air traffic control will give me, or I'll have to negotiate that with them, should there be one online once we arrive. Okay, so now we just scroll through the plan just to see if everything connects up nicely. Okay. Yep. Looks good. And that's quite a funky missed approach procedure. Let's just hope that we don't have to use that one. So, I'm happy. Let's bring this back. And let's continue over here. So our zero fuel weight is what's it say? Wait a minute. Under pre-flight. Oh, whoops, wrong button. I think it was ground services. 46.42. So I'm just gonna do 46.4. Okay, and we want to use 6,000 kilos of fuel. That's what we got. So that's good. Reserves. Okay, some quick and dirty mental math over here. So that is 920. That's 2,000, 2001. Yeah, 2.1 roughly. And cost index 20. That is fine. And we'll be cruising at flight level 230. And the cruise wind is 248 at 42. And our outside air temperature is minus 17. So it's going to be, see, the atmosphere is quite warm, as you can see. It's ISO plus 13, so it's quite warm today. And transition altitude 5,000 in Frankfurt, that is correct. Execute. Okay, down here there's nothing to be set. And then next comes N1 limit and the takeoff speeds, but that we will do shortly. That's apparently it's 22, 23 degrees in Frankfurt. Hence why I got the window open. Get some fresh air. Okay. So let's set up the mode control panel. So I'll be heading 177. Yep, initial climb 4,000 feet. That speed we will get to. I can turn on my flight directors and auto brakes RTO. And then let me just see what is the QNH in Frankfurt. Okay, so let me just call up the meter. Okay, so winds 220 at 17 knots, 10 kilometers visibility, scattered 4,000, broken 12,000, 24 degrees, dew point 14, QNH 1014. And then, yeah, departure runway 18 and 25 center. We're going for 18. And apparently it's going to become windier later. So, but for now, so QNH 1014, let's dial that in. Okay, that's in 1014. Sensitive. There we go. Match that up because in case of an engine failure, this is basically to mark the 1,000 feet above above ground level. So I need that for my acceleration altitude. So that's just a kind of a way to remind me. All right. So let's go to the overhead panel and set up the pressurization panel. So there, 23,000. And what is the elevation in Frankfurt again? It's 300 something, yeah, 364 feet. This is just in case we have to return to Frankfurt. That's already set up and we don't have to worry about that. And at 23,000 feet, standby cabin altitude would be 2,400. So just dial that in. Okay, it's come together nicely. So, okay, this I'm going to select the legs page. And now let me just see, is there anything else that I am missing? Well, I could do the nav setup, so that's 112.2. Yep, that's fine. And yeah, that one as well. 112.2. And radial. So we're going to be inbound radial 356 for read VOR, which is the frequency which I just sent, so that means I need 176 over here. Could have gone the other way. And do the same thing over here. Just as a backup. Okay, so far so good. Okay, let me might as well tune into the frequency here, because I believe there's someone online in Frankfurt. Yeah, tower is online, so I'm just gonna tune into the tower frequency just so that we have some radio chatter in the background. And yeah, so let's just do the takeoff and performance calculation. For that I have a neat external tool, which I think I've showed you in my previous video, Topper, which stands for Takeoff Performance Calculator. Got that off, what was the name of that store? SimFlight? I have to look that up again. So we're going from Frankfurt, runway 18, and so runway 25 is in use, so that means we're going to be using November to get to runway 18, so that means we're going to use the full runway. Let's try, and
Lufthansa 47, correction 490, question push.
Sorry about that.
Lufthansa 490, push approved, facing south.
Facing south, push approved.
Okay, so let's get the weather again. So the winds 220 at 17. Outside air temperature is 24 degrees. QNH 1014. We're going to be using flaps 5, air conditioning on, anti-ice off, and our takeoff weight is 50, according to my flight plan, 52,198. 52,198. And calculate. Okay. So let me just jot down those numbers. So this is runway 18, and we need a selected temperature of 56 degrees.
Navigated and request taxi to cargo terminal Charlie Day 115.
And 142, and it's flaps 5. AC
Holiday
on,
1158.
Anti-ice off.
Confirm negative. Taxi to stand Foxtrot 220 via Lima 13, November 10, November and November 11.
Foxtrot 220 via Lima 13, November 10, November 11, Holiday 158.
So 131. And 142. Perfect. Then set up the V2 speed up here. Whoops. And turn that on and set the plugs. So 80 knots and then V1 of 131.
Lufthansa 4 Lima Charlie. Normally that's the gate without pushback.
Yeah, but that's the reason why I request a taxi.
Okay, then 138.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
142.
Taxi to holding point runway 18 via Lima.
142 plus 15. That's 152, that's 157. And set that to... Can't remember, was that 190 or 210? I think it was 190. Not too sure anymore. I mean, this is all stuff that I've forgotten over the years. I have to look that up because there's a lot more manual labor involved in a Boeing 737 than in an Airbus A320, which is an aircraft which I usually fly in flight sim. So yeah, so I guess, you know, win for automation. So let me just take a sip of water. And then, yeah, I suppose we can do like a walk around kind of thing. So, how does that work? So, no, whoops, wrong button. That's the one, free camera. And there we go.
Lufthansa 4 Lima Charlie, wind 230 degrees, 16 knots, 18 cleared for takeoff.
18 cleared for takeoff, Lufthansa 4 Lima Charlie.
For those of you wondering, this is the default Frankfurt scenery from Explain. However, it really resembles the Aerosoft Frankfurt version 2 very closely, so I'm not sure. I am not sure if Aerosoft had their hands in this. Yep, just clipping through the scenery, through the aircraft. Wonderful. No, that 737 is such a beautiful plane. God, how I love this aircraft.
5 Lima and Lima 3.
November 5 Lima, Lima 3, Porno.
Such a shame that Lufthansa got rid of them. Oh, that's a neat picture. Whoa. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to do the walk around and explain that in Flight Simulator, I find. And let's just hop back into the cockpit. Okay, so let's just close that window. And let's just start up the APU. And wait for it.
Lufthansa 4 Lima Charlie, switch Uniform 1 to decimal 8. Guten tschüss.
Uniform 1 to decimal Lufthansa 4 Lima Charlie, ciao.
Okay. Any moment now. Cool. APU on bus. Okay. Disconnect the ground power. And also the air supply, don't need that. And might as well close that doors, because we're about to go. And turn APU bleed on. Alright, so then let's go and call up the first checklist. So, cockpit check complete checklist. Gear pins removed. Pitot-static checked. Circuit breakers checked. Oxygen checked 100%. Crew oxygen valve open. Fuel 6,000 kilograms. Pumps on. Emergency exit lights armed. Cabin signs on. Window heat on. Hydraulics normal. Stall warning checked. Cabin control set. Ground. Autopilots off. Instruments 151. Altimeters 1014 365. Anti-skid. On. Auto brake. RTO. FMC. Set. Speed brake. Down detent. Engine start levers. Cut off. Trim cutout switches. Normal. Fire warning checked. Radar on. Weather radar mode. Off. Radios set. Cockpit check complete. Checklist complete. So, okay, let me just check. Are my throttles working? Yes, they are. Wonderful. So we are good to go. So now, there's this since the last explain video which I made, there's this neat little tool that came about called Better Pushback, which is an awesome pushback tool. So I'm just gonna go here. Whoops, pre-planned pushback. Okay, there's a bit of lag, but there we go. And then basically I can just, you know, tell it how I want to do the pushback, but I don't want to push back just yet. All I want is just to connect the pushback tuck to the aircraft. That's all I want.
Cockpit, tow is driving up.
Because later, when I request pushback clearance, at least he's already connected. It's one thing that always annoyed me about GSX when flying on P3D or Microsoft Flight Simulator, is you cannot have the pushback tug already connected to the aircraft, so that once you get the pushback clearance, off you go. No, it's like you have to first request pushback clearance, and then you can. I know that there are workarounds for it, but it's just one of those things that kind of annoyed me. And also the cool thing is that, tell you what, let's just go into the outside view, because this is the neat thing about it. Okay, free camera. Oh wait, no. Shift 4. There, just watch it. It's gonna actually lift. It's gonna actually lift the aircraft up. Then you also see the movement in the air in the cockpit, and that is so cool. Just watch it. Just watch it. I mean, the animation on there is also, and the best thing of all is it's for free. There you go. Look at it. Pitch up the nose. I find details like that to be so cool. So anyway, back in the cockpit. And, okay. So let me just grab the latest ATIS, and then, so it's information kilo. Okay, got 1 degree cooler. But, never mind. So let me just request startup. And we are at, what is that? Gate Alpha 30. Okay. Frankfurt Tower, schönen guten Tag, die Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, Stand Alpha 30, Information Kilo, requesting startup.
Da vorne an der Büro steht hier die Command to display, Grundflug, tschüss.
Water to display, vorne an der
Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, Frankfurt Tower, good day, UK destination, Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel, via the Niki 8 Lima departure, flight Frankfurt. Out of 18, initial climb 4,000 feet, squawk 1,000.
Clear destination Zurich via the Aniki 8 Lima departure out of runway 18, flight plan route, initial climb 4,000 feet, squawk 1,000, Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango. What? No readback correct? I know something I've been noticing lately is that on IVAO, when you request for startup, you read back the clearance, and then they either say read back correct or they correct you. Whatever. So, all that is good. Okay, all doors are closed. So turn on the anti-collision lights. Packs off. Okay, before start checklist, packs off, start pressure, I'm just making an educated guess, but it's about 45 psi, anti-collision light on, TAS, RTO, parking brake, set, mobile off, before start checklist complete. So let's just request pushback. Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, ready to push.
Tango, push approved, facing west.
Push approved, facing west, Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango. Okay, now here comes the beauty of this thing. So, where's the better pushback? Oh, what? Are you kidding me? Okay, I have. So wait, if I do start pushback, there we go.
Please show me where you want to go.
There we go. So, now I can... So, the tower said facing west, so that's in this direction, so... I'm just going to do this, and once I'm happy with that, click, and enter.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brakes released.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Let's go to the wing view. I mean, that just looks so... I don't know. I mean, that just looks so awesome. It just gives such a realistic feel to it, I find. And, like, it's very immersive. I mean, heaven knows how many flights I've done in real, just, you know, from this perspective. I mean, there are a couple of videos of that which I uploaded from the past, when Lufthansa still had the Boeing 737 around. Anyway, let's start. Let's do engine start. So, number 2 engine start. Stopwatch. Waiting for 25% N1, correction N2. Okay. Yep. EGT is okay. So number 1 engine start. Stopwatch.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brakes are set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
And then watch it. You can see him lower the nose. You can see that. See that? And who is this guy? Anyway. So 25% N1. And what I forgot to mention was...
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Have a nice flight.
Thanks. This is the latest update for the 737. It's now fully X-Plane 11 compatible. So, let's see how that goes. So, anyway. After start items, flaps 5. So... Okay. Flight control check. Okay, rudder. Now let's do that from the passenger cabin again. So. God, this is so awesome. And the catering truck just bumped into me. Great. Anyway. So, after start, checklist. Electric. Set. Pitot heat. On. Anti-ice. Off. Cabin control. Set flight. Engine start switches. Continuous. APU. Off. Rating speed bugs. 20K. 131 and 142. Engine start levers. Idle detent. Recall. Checked. After start checklist complete. Taxi. Sorry, just 1 second. There we go. Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, request taxi.
Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, taxi holding point, runway 18 by November 7, link 3 November 8 in November.
Taxi holding point, runway 18 via November 7, November 8, link 3 in November, Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango. I think I got the order muddled up, but I know exactly how he wants me to taxi. So, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, forgot. Clear left, clear right. Make myself comfortable. Just adjust my pedals here real quick. So, link 3, that's this one over here. Okay, well, it was a wee bit too fast. There we go, we're now coming up on November 8, and then here's November. And here we take a right turn. So just make sure, no oncoming traffic. Oh, birds, yay. That is one thing that an airplane is missing, is a horn. To shoo away the birds. Actually had a funny situation once during my flying days when I was back in flight school. I was just coming in to land, and there were a flock of, I guess, seagulls or whatever, just right, you know, they were just like, you know, resting on the threshold of the runway, so just right by the piano keys. And I was like thinking, okay, the runway's long enough, tell you what, let me be smart about this, let me just do a long landing, just to avoid mowing down those birds. And yeah, once the birds saw me come, they just decided to fly away, but not to the side or just away. No, what did they decide to do? They just decided to really just launch themselves vertically into the sky, just crossing my flight path. So nearly hit a couple of birds. So that was, I gotta admit, my heart skipped a beat in that moment. Stupid birds. Yeah. And here's the Frankfurt scenery. I mean, this for being the default X-Plane 11 scenery, quote unquote, is not too shabby. I mean, it, I don't know, has a lot of resemblance to the latest Aerosoft Frankfurt scenery, but it's not that it's not that deep, it's not that in depth. So anyway, they're planning to release, Aerosoft are planning to release it for X-Plane 11 sometime soon, so hopefully my next video, or my next few videos in future, I'll be able to incorporate that airport. Okay, and after this turn we will do the taxi checklist. Okay, so taxi checklist, flight controls, checked, flaps, 5, green light, trim, I knew I forgot something. But then again it says trim 3.4, 4.0, yeah, I prefer to actually add a little bit more trim, because the value in the FMS is not enough. Usually it's a bit too much trim nose down. So yeah, so 4.0, 0. Cabin report received. Taxi checklist complete. Oh well. That's what checklists are for. Therefore, when you forget things. And the Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango is ready when reaching.
Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, wind 230 degrees, 16 knots, 18, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff runway 18, Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango. Okay, turn all this stuff on. So transponder on. Put this to above. Anything else? Okay. This I'm going to turn on near the threshold. Should I do a rolling takeoff? Yeah, you know what? Let's do a rolling takeoff. So this goes on, all this comes off. And I'm gonna be starting the stopwatch a bit prematurely because during a rolling takeoff a lot of things happen at the same time. So on and on.
Approaching 18.
Okay, so
On runway 18.
take a fire set. 80. Go. Rotate.
Frankfurt, hello, information queue on board, Lufthansa 1053.
Gear up.
Final runway 25 left.
Lufthansa 1153, Frankfurt, have a good day. Current event full established.
Okay, 400, LNAV.
Roger.
Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, switch Unicom 122.8. Guten Flug, tschüss.
122.8, Lufthansa 5 Juliet Tango, yo, danke, tschüss. I'll do that in just a second, because there are a lot of things happening here. So N1, speed 210, oops. And flaps 1. And flaps up. Just follow the flight directives a little bit. Okay, just select something higher. Okay, flaps up, lights out. VNAV. And autopilot on. Okay. See, there's a lot of things happening at the same time. Okay, don't need the chrono anymore. Well, let's go to the wing view. Now we're just climbing up. Let me see. Oh, no way. Oh well, anyway. So, altimeters is standard. Yeah, come on. So, standard 5.9. Now, the reason why I said, oh no, what a shame, was Switzerland in its entirety was online, but now there's hardly anyone, which is a shame. Doesn't matter. Okay, so... Okay, now all this stays on. And I'm just going to do that to 230. Okay, we just passed Ried VOR. I mean, for the weather and X-Plan, I'm using real weather connector, I think, or hang on, what is it called? Where is it? There we go, SkyMaxx Pro, and then real weather connector, I believe. But apparently, at the end of the year, they want to Active Sky is supposed to come to explain, so that's going to be fun. So yep, we're pressurizing. Okay. Alright. After takeoff checklist. Altimeter standard. Flight level 103. Engine bleeds. On. Packs. Auto. Gear. Up and off. Flaps. Up. Lights out. After takeoff checklist complete. Oh, there's the top of descent already. Yeah, it's a short flight. It's a very short flight. I want to hear a cool sound effect? Watch this. I mean, hats off to the guys that explain an IXEG. I don't know, just those little things that I really enjoy. Okay, so... Okay, I'm going to turn engine anti-ice on. And guess I can turn the seatbelt signs off. Well, still in the clouds. Ah, here we go. Breaking through the clouds. the moment I always enjoy when flying. Got rotten weather on the ground, but then all you got to do is just fly high enough, and there you go. So let's just look at the weather in Zurich. Yeah, weather is okay in Zurich. And because it's such a short flight, we have about... Okay, I'm not sure. Can I trust that top of descent calculation? Okay, let's work this out manually. Let me just get the charts out, because for some reason I don't really trust that calculation. So, I'll just get Zurich. Okay, so we'll be landing on runway 14. Don't need that. And there I need to be at 4,000 feet by Osnem. So that's 19, so let's say that's 28 times 3, that's 60 miles. Roughly 60 miles from Zurich, roughly speaking. I need to be down at 4,000. And does that make sense? Oh, it kind of does actually. Okay, we'll go with it. Okay, don't need these anymore. I know these click spots are a bit twitchy, I have to say. Oh, come on. There you go. Off you... My goodness, there you go. Off you go. And off these go. And this, I'm going to TCAS, I'm going to go ahead and put that on below, and I'm going to start my descent preparations. So, we're going to be landing with flaps 30. And the weather over there, winds 290 at 8 knots. So, yeah, +5 is okay. I'm going to do auto brakes. 3. Okay, 135. And the frequency is 111.75. Okay, got that. And the minimum is 1,610 feet. So, 610 feet there. Okay, descent forecast. Normally I'd also put in the descent winds, but don't really have time for that right now. So, and transition level, I'm just guessing. With transition altitude is 8,000. I'm just going to put in, sorry, 7,000. I'm just going to put in 8,000. And just go to the overhead panel, set the pressurization. And the landing elevation is 1,417, so 1,417, something like that. Okay, just making sure all is okay. So far so good. And always just keep an eye out that not that someone just springs online. Okay. So, let's go on to the descent checklist. Recall. Checked. Cabin control. Set. Auto brake. 3. Approach briefing. I didn't do the approach briefing. Kinda did a mental one, I just didn't say it out loud. It'll be an ILS approach runway 14 in Zurich. Final altitude is 4,000 feet. Check altitude at 4 DME is 2,670 feet. And minimum is at 1,610 feet. And then in case of missed approach, fly heading 135, climb 4,000 feet, and then, wow, that is one ridiculous missed approach procedure. Sorry, guys. I mean, you guys saw it on the navigation display there, so yeah, that's a ridiculous one. So let me just read through that, just commit that to pseudo memory. And yeah, so landing will be with flaps 30, auto brakes 3, and MSA to the northwest is 5,700, 4,500 to the northeast, 5,900 to the southeast, and 4,500 to the west. Come to think of it, I also didn't really mention my departure and emergency briefing. I kind of did that mentally. Oh well. I'll promise to improve next time. So approach briefing completed. Landing data VREF 137. Minimum 1,610 feet. Descent checklist complete. Yeah. Need to improve. I admit it. So let's just go to the progress page. 11 miles to the top of descent. I'm just going to go ahead and select. I'm going to select 8,000 for now. Never really occurred to me how short this flight is. And let me just see, is there anyone else that's going to arrive around my time in Zurich? Just to make sure that we don't have conflicting traffic. No, Nope, I'm the only one arriving at around that time. Works for me. Let's go for some wing views. There's Stuttgart. Yeah, done a flight there already with my FS Labs 320. Wow, I mean, look at the scenery. I mean, this is, just for X-Plane out of the box. I mean, this has like Orb-X qualities. Well, let's go back in here. Okay, I'm just gonna take back my throttles. And another sip of water, and hopefully it should initiate the descent, because I have noticed a few bugs where it doesn't do that. And there we go. Good. And the thing is that it also tends to like nosedive it. No, but this one's not half bad. Because also one thing I noticed since, like before they made it, before the update, and before, they also, I think they also tweaked around with the flight dynamics and the aerodynamics of this aircraft, because it handles now the a bit differently. Like handles like more smooth. I mean, it's a joy to fly this thing. Okay, this is looking good. Normally it just tries to dive bomb. There you can just barely make out the Swiss Alps. Just barely. Okay, just monitoring my descent. If all is okay. Just always keeping an eye out for aircraft control, and because we're approaching into mountainous terrain to some extent, just going to put on the terrain map. Just for some added fun. Okay, looking good so far. There's relax, which is the start of our approach, or the approach procedure. Okay, let me just add. Let me just add a little bit of throttle. Until I went. Oh, was that on 7,900 the entire time? Whoops. Well, it happens. There we go. Just go down to 4,000. It's like the only thing that I missed in this aircraft, I have to say, is the speed intervention button over here, so that I can stay in VNAV but still dictate the speed. Because that would be quite handy in a lot of situations. Okay. Let's put on the seatbelt signs. And let's go idle. Okay, so temperature is already 10 degrees. Total air temperature, so that's fine, so I won't need anti-ice. Now, let's add a little bit of thrust. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, 40% is fine. And then if I'm not mistaken, at around 11,000 feet, the speed should automatically dial back to 240 knots. And that's where we may need a little bit of speed brake, just to help this plane slow down and descend at the same time. And that's essentially that's what flying is all about, just power management, speed for altitude, altitude for speed. Then if you plan it and do it correctly, you know, then you'll have a smooth flight. But if you don't think ahead, then you may run into trouble. You see it? Now it says FMC speed because I went a bit too slow to try to capture that speed. That's where a speed intervention would be quite useful. because now I'm stuck in this loop where it's trying to speed up to capture that speed, but essentially I'm trying to slow down at some point, which I believe is at 11,000 feet. That's where it starts to decelerate. Okay, I stand corrected. Okay, I stand corrected. Drag required now all of a sudden. You see, that's what I meant. So let's put out the speed brakes, clear that, and turn that on, put that on. And now, just to save time, I'm just already gonna set the QNH. So what is it? Where is it? 1017. Especially mountainous terrain, you really want to make sure you got the right QNH, otherwise you're gonna find yourself on the side of a mountain. Okay, and retract the speed brakes, because we're below the descent path now all of a sudden. And let the autopilot do its thing. Okay, approach checklist. Altimeters 1017 9500. Approach checklist complete. Okay, just one last check. Anyone online? So far, no. Okay. So at Idumi I need to be above 7,000. Okay, I'm gonna go into vertical speed, maintain that, but I want to slow down to 220 knots, because I'm a huge fan of slowing down the aircraft nice and early. Because I hate to have to abort an approach just because I decided to come in too fast. Okay, and at Trasading I need to be at or above 5,000. Okay. Just reduce the range here. I'm going to slow down to 210 knots. Let's take a wing view. Nothing much to see here. It's just beautiful. Okay. I would think that I would get ILS indication by now. 111 point. Aha! Look at that. .75. Okay, reduced my rate of descent. I'm just already gonna pre-select the runway heading. Why I don't have any ILS indication is interesting. So it's 111.75, 111.75. Nah. If not the weather's good enough, I'll do a visual approach. But it's weird. Okay. Flaps 1. There's a runway, but no ILS indication. Interesting. Okay. Flaps 5.
2500.
Alright, then, no ILS. Interesting. Okay. In which case, I'm gonna do a manual flight. And just do a visual approach. So speed mode deselect. And flight directors off. Okay, doing all this manually. So, gear down. Flaps 15. Terrain. What's he talking about? Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting approach. Flaps 25. And flaps 30. Okay, 1000 above. Okay. So, final checklist: start switches, continuous, speed brakes, armed, gear, down on 3 green, flaps 30 green light. Landing checklist complete.
Approaching 14.
500. 400.
Correcting.
300. 200. 100.
That was a bit too low, but we'll be fine.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Spoilers deployed, reverse unlocked. manual braking. Okay, that was an interesting approach. Didn't go exactly to plan, but I mean, I guess any landing that you can walk away from is a good one. Right. Where are we? This must be Hotel 1. Okay, after landing items. Huh, which gate do I go to? Because I want something ideally over back there. Okay, let's cut across over here. No one around. Let's start the APU. And start my strobes, just make sure no one is departing. No one that I can see.
Approaching 28.
Okay, strobes off and AP on bus. Now let's take one of those gates. Again, I have no idea which gates they usually park at. So we're just going to take this one here. Alpha 13, 13, my lucky number. And I have no idea how far I should go in. This should be good enough. So, the APU is on bus. Wonderful. Ah, great. See, I haven't flown this airplane in a while. Forgot this as part of the after landing items. Wow. I need to practice more with this aircraft. Anyway, at least we made it down safe and sound. So, parking checklist window Peter heat off, anti-ice off, anti-collision light off. Engine start switches off. Landing lights off. Flaps up, lights out. Speed brake down detent. Engine start levers cut off. Parking brake set. Weather radar mode off. Parking checklist complete. Oh boy. That was quite an interesting flight. Approach was a bit weird because I don't know. It's like I was kind of expecting that there to be an ILS frequency there, but I don't know, I'll have to look into that. So, let's just get all the ground power stuff connected. Open up the cargo doors. Okay, ground power on bus. And APU bleed off. We don't need that. And we don't need the APU. And we don't need the fuel pump anymore. Alright, so here we are in Zurich. Safe and sound. God, I love this airplane. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this flight. I admit it was a bit shaky at times. Just got to practice a bit more because I haven't flown this beast in a while. And yeah, I'm sure I'll improve. And yeah, hope you guys will join me the next time. Until then, take it easy and take care.